Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Jade Alberts, the founder of Peer Guidance. This is a Facebook Live show that telling it like it is, and I'm extremely excited about the guests we're going to have today. And I also want to just thank our Sexy as AF Spirits for their sponsorship. They are a 100% premium, alcohol-free, plant-based, low-cal, sugar-free, botanically infused spirit, perfect for mixing. Check out their website. It's going to be in the comment section shortly once I post it there. Again, a good Alberta-based company that just won 4 awards for the quality of their mix. And speaking of that, we are going to get right into it today, talking to Neil Anderson, the founder of SkillShark. Neil, how are you today?
Doing fantastic. Thanks for asking me to be on here.
Oh, I'm extremely excited about. We're both passionate sports guys, as my jerseys say behind me, and I always like talking about how we met, and we met through kind of the startup TNT Valhalla conference, investment summit. We had a little meeting, and I mean, it resonated with me because I'm a sports guy. I coached high level hockey, scouted, so your story is pretty neat.
Awesome. Yeah. It resonates with a lot of coaches or a lot of people in the sports world.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to get right into it here and do a little brief introduction of yourself, and then we'll get into the questions. So Neil is a founder and president of SkillShark Software with a background in engineering at the U of S. He focused on process control systems optimization, and having played or coached competitive softball the majority of his life, it was natural to combine the two passions and start SkillShark. So your story is very similar to a lot of people that I have on. It's something, they're passionate about something. They see a need well, obviously this one is in sports, and then they go out and create it. So go dive into your story a little more.
Sure. Yeah. So my background in engineering definitely helped provide the technical know-how, I guess, to get started. But so I played, like you just mentioned, I played or coached competitive softball the majority of my life. And it was about 6 years ago that I took over the U18 program in Saskatoon here. Took it over from some incredibly knowledgeable people that know the sport incredibly well. But some things that we realized, and it wasn't just for softball, but we realized for all sport evaluations, basketball, soccer, volleyball, you name the sport, they all had the same problems when it came to youth evaluations. SkillShark solves the 3 main problems that were out there. 1, organizations spend on average over 50 hours of data entry, putting information from paper into spreadsheets, which is very time consuming. And lastly, think about the last time, put yourself in the shoes of your kid, the last time they went out for hockey practice or soccer, you name it. When's the last time they ever got feedback after the evaluation saying, well, you didn't make the top team, but here's what you need to work on next year? The reality is, coaches like myself who are volunteers and we don't get paid to have 300 one-on-one conversations because we don't have the time. You just don't have the time to do that. So with SkillShark, they get instant report cards if the organization wants to give them that feedback. Here's what you did well. Here's what you need to work on. And lastly, think of those parents, all these parents that want the best for their kids, right? They don't know the sport sometimes as well as the coaches, but they're just looking for direction. Just tell me what I need to work with my son or daughter on the weekends so that I can help him or her have a better chance and enjoy the sport better. And these report cards and developmental videos that are fed back to the kid and parents do exactly that.
And I love that. And I mean, as a coach and a scout of high level hockey, as I touched on before, we always had exit interviews. Like in the dub, we talked about them. This is what we want to work on. And even sometimes we went to the point of talking to their coaches saying, yeah, this is kind of what we want to see. But I get it, as a father of the 2 girls that play sports, they get no feedback on, why did Rhea not make, she made level 1 this year, but why did Grayson is playing level 3? Like, where is, what should she work on? I mean, with softball, I get it. I mean, I'm a baseball guy. I can help her. I can work on these things, but I think it's also important to start getting this feedback on how to better yourself, not only for for the sports that you're going to do, but to set yourself up in life. I mean, you're going to get constant feedback as an employee, as a person on how to improve yourself. So, is that the type of philosophy that SkillShark is going to, bring as well?
Yeah, like there's so many good things that come out of feedback, right?
Yes.
Like there's still, historically, there will still be some laggers that will not be into data transparency. They'll try to, they rightfully so, they've been doing it for 20, 30 years kind of thing, where they evaluate the athletes, they keep all that information internally. You could still do that with SkillShark, but absolutely the trend is in the next 3 to 5 years, if you're a parent and you're paying hundreds or thousands of dollars for registration fees to take your kid out to be evaluated in a program, you will expect to get a feedback report card saying, this is how your child did, and this is what he or she needs to improve. So when we're doing our demos with organizations across the globe, it is amazing to see that aha moment when the coach is on the other side. I'm thinking about a baseball academy in St. Louis off the top of my head just a couple months ago, doing a demo for a couple guys, showing them the benefits of SkillShark and how we make evaluations incredibly easy. And the two coaches, they looked at each other at the same time on the other side of the web call, and they said, do you know how much time this is going to save us? And it was just like, that's incredibly rewarding when you see that day in, day out. Yeah. So yeah. And probably the most memorable moment I can think back to was it was June 16th of 2017 when we just got started. We got a call from the Arizona Diamondbacks from the VP of operations there, asking if I would be down in Phoenix in the next couple of weeks. I said, yeah.
Absolutely, tomorrow.
I just happened to book my ticket. So groups like that for their youth development programs, incredibly important to, like in their case, they had a youth development program that had 2,500 youth baseball teams in the states of Arizona and Nevada. So incredibly, think about the time that you're saving with all of those organizations.
No, I think it's so important. I mean, you get a report card in school, you get a review at work, right? And let's be really honest here. Most of the, as I tell my girls and even as myself, and, you figure you're not going to be pro, we want to make this a lifestyle. I mean, you can play softball or baseball. Like I'm almost 50 and still playing senior, and I want the girls to be able to do that. I'm doing it for squash. I'm doing it for different sports. It's not only good for you mentally, it's good for you physically, but it's also good for you to network. I mean, I can't even tell you, like, for the longer you stay in some of these sports, the amount of people in business I've gotten out of sports is absolutely priceless. And if we can keep kids in sports longer, I think that's good. There's got to be a really good mix for that, and I think your evaluations will benefit that.
Yeah, absolutely. Kids being in sports, there's so many benefits to it, and I can speak from personal experience. The ability to learn communication with others, how to interface with others. You typically tend to stay away from addiction issues if you're involved in team sports. There's definite statistics supporting that, and that's a huge reason to be part of it.
Oh, couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. So let's talk about some of you mentioned the Arizona, even in our you talked about Carolina. So what type it's for all sports. It doesn't really matter. So what type of industries are you in? And if you're able to name drop some of the organizations and just so any of our listeners can understand, well, maybe this isn't for squash, or maybe it is.
Yeah. When we started SkillShark 6 years ago, the first thing we did is we absolutely focused on making it customizable for any sport. But the 5 key ones that we were looking at were like baseball, softball, hockey, soccer, and volleyball. But basketball was in there, and then other sport just kind of came out of the woodwork like just recently. And it's so easy for us to add new sport templates. We've got rugby, we've got lacrosse, we've got cricket. We just got some cricket organizations, which obviously cricket is big in other parts of the globe. You know, and one of the interesting things is it wasn't just from the athlete side, but one of the groups that came to us very early on was the Hockey Referees Association. So as it turns out, hockey referees probably do more evaluations than anybody. They evaluate their referee and linesmen almost on a game-by-game basis. So one of our testimonials that you'll see on our website, SkillShark.com, is a referee organization. But going back to the major organizations, what was really neat is during, well, COVID definitely changed a lot of things, but it made all of those major organizations who just had their heads down in the trenches doing day in, day out kind of routines, they finally had time to lift their heads up and say, okay, how can we improve the way that we do things? So all of our major contracts were signed during COVID, which is pretty impressive. When global sports was shut down in March of 2020, that's when things absolutely started to open up with us on the contract side. So some big organizations that we've signed with are the largest youth sport organization on the globe, which is the USSSA, the United States Specialty Sports Association. They handle 15 sports under their umbrella, everything from baseball, softball, karate, lacrosse, field hockey, you name it. We recently signed a contract with the National Amateur Fall Baseball Federation out of the US, and they're a very large organization that's getting up and running. And one of the most interesting ones also is the country of France. So the French Federation of Baseball and Softball, they booked a demo with us back in September of 2020. And what was really interesting is we come under the web demo and there's this boardroom of people, which is not your typical, usually it's a one-on-one thing. And they said, hey, you probably don't know this, but we've been using your product for a couple of years. And with the launch of your brand new interface, it is phenomenal. And we want to launch this across the country with their 250 zones. So yeah, they're not only using us for baseball and softball, they're also using us for alpine skiing, which was one of the last things I would ever thought SkillShark would have been used for. But we're actually being used for alpine skiing in France and Italy, so they can customize it with their own labels of their own local language, and that way their evaluators understand everything.
Well, I mean, for our viewers, I'm talking to Neil Anderson, the founder of SkillShark. Their website is SkillShark.com. Just click on it in the comment section. It'll take you directly to their website. I could see how you don't understand skiing. I mean, I'm a Sasky too, and there's not a whole lot of hills out there, right? So I kind of get that.
Yeah, we definitely we thought it was going to be applicable mostly to team sports, but
yeah,
it turns out we've got users using it for things like alpine skiing, golf, tennis. Yeah, it's really usable for everything.
And you, I mean, I want to touch on the COVID that you said as well, because I know, we talked a little bit before, and some companies did extremely well. Some were, be able to toe the line and stay open, and some, struggled during COVID. So why do you think that, when everything's shut down, do you think that gave organizations time to kind of revamp? How are we going to get better? How are we going to improve? How are we going to come back? How are we going to promote our sport? And that's, why they were searching out SkillShark?
Yeah, they were probably looking for ways to optimize and do more with less, and just make their whole processes simpler, rather than being of the mindset, hey, this is the way we've done it for 30 years. That's the way we're going to continue to do it. So yeah, one of the other unique applications we had for SkillShark as well came in the last year, and that was, again, SkillShark with a strong background in sports. We wanted to improve the evaluation process for athletes, and as it turns out, coaches and also officials for sports as well. But a new application that came out of the woodwork was we were approached by a government organization that explained to me how they did employee evaluations. And they said, the way we currently do it right now is we have a Word document with the list of 3 or 4 questions for the employee. We send a copy to that employee. They fill it out. The manager fills it out. They get together, have a conversation. They staple the paper together. It goes in a filing cabinet, and they never look at it again. So all that data that you're gathering and measuring an employee evaluation is just really just being used once and forgotten about. So using SkillShark now, they can do things like quarterly employee evaluations, very easy with doing it paperless, as well as you can also do talent inventories. So if there's so many people retiring and people needing to move up the ladder in the organizations, that using SkillShark for a talent inventory of, okay, who's able to move up to the next spot? It's a fantastic tool for that. So succession planning, talent inventories, it's a great application.
That's interesting. Again, I'm talking with Neil Anderson, the founder of SkillShark. SkillShark.com is their website. Click on it in the comments section. So you've gone from youth sports to literally the business world. Is that something that you see? Is that going to be a one-off, or are you going to kind of make a division of that?
Long term, it would be a division. But we're going to stay focused on our core strength right now, which is in the sports world. But long term, we've already got some pretty good, a pretty good focus on how we can achieve where we need to go in the HR world.
Nice. So speaking of moving forward, I mean, a lot of times I don't interview companies that have 6 years worth of data or experience. They're usually relatively new. So I guess, are you able to share some of the successes you've had and failures, in marketing and trying to get your brand out there and trying to, and I don't want to say, convince people the benefits of SkillShark, but that's kind of what it is.
Yeah. So, with any new technology that comes out, there's this S curve, right? It's the technology adoption curve. And you've always got these early adopters and innovators who are the ones willing to change. It's the people who are they're the even keeled people who are just not of the mindset about taking a risk. Those are the people that, take longer. So we've done a number of presentations where people are hesitant to be the first one through the gate. So they require these early adopters and innovators to kind of lead the path. And we're well on our way with groups that are of that mindset.
So is that so outside the early adopters, how did you come across, I mean, you said that the Phoenix, Arizona Diamondbacks called you. You talked about the Carolina here just recently that are coming in. How are they finding you?
Yeah, well, in the case of the Arizona Diamondbacks, it was through social media. They just did a Google search at the time, and that's, the early adopters and innovators. Those are the people doing the Google search for, athlete evaluation software. And we're very happy to be the leader in the athlete evaluation space globally here. So we got out of the gates early, and it's going very well for us now.
And what about how did France find you? Same way, is it?
Yeah, they did a Google search. Nowadays, we've actually put a lot more emphasis on social media branding out there. So we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but Google AdWords, Google banner ads, all that kind of stuff. So if you're a coach and have done a search for certain keywords like athlete evaluation software, that kind of thing, our ads will definitely be coming up for it. We've actually, I can think of a high number of demos that we've had in the past couple months here where people say, I don't know what you guys are doing on your social media side, but it's working because I keep seeing your ad come up and up, and it's like, okay, I have got to call these guys because this is definitely a solution to one of our problems.
And I mean, it's amazing how, and it's good to hear, right? You've got to be on your platforms, your Facebook, Twitters, Instagrams, so forth, right? But a lot of things that we're seeing is going back to Google Ads. Everything, more companies are spending more money on Google Ads because that's where people are finding them. There's so much noise on the other channel. They're spending less time on the other channels. And Google is such an important important part. We've even gone back to people that are expanding into new areas to direct mail again, and we've had great success with that because not because everybody's at home. It's just that you actually can put something in someone's hands where, people, wrote that off for a long time saying it's not effective, but it is extremely effective.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No question.
So it's good to hear that, people understand, and Google ads aren't that hard to run. I mean, they're not that hard to figure out. That's a little trial and error. Before you know it, it's something that you can do on your own before you maybe have the money that if you want to go down the road of hiring a marketing firm and things along those lines. But you guys learning how to do it, how to understand it yourself will make you so much more knowledgeable when you go out to hire a marketing firm and say, okay, we're large enough now, we have extra revenue that we can outsource that. So I talk about that all the time, about how important it is to know your analytics, know your data before you go out there and outsource it, because that's knowledge that you need. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I guess what, you guys have expanded, you're doing well. You've done a fundraise. How's the fundraising gone?
It's gone really well. We're at the 3/4 way mark. So we're in the, we're raising $1 million. We're in our $1 million seed round right now, and we've
Nice.
got $750K left. With some pretty key individuals that have come on recently onto the advisory board from the Arizona Diamondbacks, as well as the Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment organization for the Raptors, the Leafs, the Argonauts, and the Toronto FC. They've joined on to our advisory board.
Well, that's amazing. I tell people that MLSE is probably the most amazing organization, the easiest to do business with. Like when we cut our deal we couldn't do any business with our home province here with the Flames and Oilers with Nathan's. But I mean, our deal was done in half an hour with MLSE for all their business, I can't speak highly enough about how forward thinking and how they don't try and get every single cent out of you, and you walk out of there happy. So I always give them a good plug, even though I'm not a Leafs fan and I'm happy they lost. If we still had their business, I want them to go to the Stanley Cup every year.
I cannot say that now. They have earned my loyalty. I am now a Leafs fan. I can't tell you who I cheered for before, but one of my brothers, he's not happy about it.
Yeah, no, it's amazing when you get them as a client how you become a fan pretty darn quickly.
They're fantastic people. Like you say, they are a great organization.
Oh, fantastic.
Very forward thinking.
Absolutely. So what you guys are rocking and rolling. You're doing your another series raise. What's next for you guys?
Boy, we our focus, even though a lot of people they're the talks when you're a tech startup is always about acquisition and like who's going to acquire you, that kind of thing. Our focus is pretty simple. It's keep making the best product and leading the path as far as the technological offering for our customers, and provide stellar customer support. And if you keep building and focusing on growing your market share, the rest is going to take care of itself. So some of the things that we've got coming down the pipe are really amazing. We just launched a brand new feature for allowing athletes to do self-assessments. So in Canada, we've actually got Team Canada softball using this feature with us, which is also propagated with other national softball clubs around the world. But what they'll do is they'll evaluate their athletes from across Canada, all the way from BC to Newfoundland, and the athletes will submit videos of their doing the pitching drills or hitting drills or whatever they're being asked of. It could be, doing their strength and conditioning, show how many benches at 225 you're doing, that kind of thing. It's so athlete self-assessment, it is being used at that national level, but it's a fantastic tool going down to the coach. Put yourself in as the coach of a hockey team. And if you want to understand what's going on inside the heads of your athletes in a discreet, kind of confidential way, without having scheduling a ton of 15 to 20 one-on-one conversations, you just send out this self-assessment. You can ask questions for, did you have a good night's sleep before the game this week? Did you follow our nutrition plan? Did you follow our strength and conditioning plan? Name some ways that you assisted or helped a teammate achieve their goals this week. And by doing that, it kind of subliminally or kind of inadvertently tells the athletes, hey, if the coach is asking this must be pretty important. In what ways did I help my teammates? So instead of being focused on just themselves and making themselves better, any successful team is all about unity and cohesion, right? It's about everybody rowing the boat in the same direction and not about a bunch of individuals. So doing self-assessments really helps a coach understand whether or not they've got a star player with confidence issues, or if they have a, let's say, less skilled player that has delusions of grandeur of where their ability's at. So it really helps. Communication is a fabulous thing.
Oh, yeah. Communication is a key in anything. And, it's funny that you say that, and your answer really resonates with me, because when we started, when I started coaching high level hockey back in the early 90s in Saskatoon, until I had to, was coaching the Blazers when I had to resign because I got transferred to Calgary. We were one of the first non-parent coaches to come through the system. So the kids really resonated with that. They really opened up to us. They really felt that not only were we a coach that was, hard on them, pushed them hard, but they felt that they had someone they can talk to. And I sat at tables talking about why kids want to quit hockey. We have a drug problem. Can you come sit with me as I tell my parents, that type of thing? And I didn't realize that until much later in life, because I was young too, 21, 22, 25, in that range, that to this day, I'm still friends with a lot of these people, a lot of these kids that are, successful business people all over Western Canada. And I think that can open up that door to the communication. And
yeah.
And it's something that, I got goosebumps right now thinking about some of those conversations. And the only reason I think they probably came out is because I was a non-parent coach. I was that kind of third party that somebody can open up to.
Yeah. Speaking about the addiction issues and the issues going on with a lot of kids these days, it is absolutely a known trend that in the last 20, 30 years, the confidence issues in kids is just declining immensely. When a kid goes to university now, they have a lot less confidence than they did 20 to 30 years ago. So you'll have kids going away on sports scholarships, and a very high percentage of the time they will return back home. And I attribute a lot of that to social media. The need for needing to see how many people liked your last post. And one of the organizations that we're partnered with, the NAFBF, the National Amateur Fall Baseball Federation, they are an amazing organization who are focused on not just building a kid's skill in baseball, but developing leaders and helping instill confidence in the athletes, that they don't have to worry about how many likes they got on the last social media post. It's all about believing in yourself and making leaders out of these kids.
I agree. And I'm a huge social media fan. I love it. I'm on it, but there's just sometimes I just want to wish it would all go away.
Curse, for sure.
Again, I'm talking with Neil Anderson, the founder of SkillShark. SkillShark.com is a website. Click on the comment section; it'll take you directly there. Fantastic conversation we're having so far. We could probably talk for another hour, especially on sports and evaluations and things like that. But we do come to the last question, and I love this question, and especially someone like you who's kind of done the startup now, and you've kind of gone through it. You had COVID, and you thought, oh my goodness, well, what? Realized that COVID kind of opened some doors.
Well, I didn't have COVID.
Well, no. We all had we all had COVID, even though we didn't actually have COVID.
Yeah.
It's going away, thank God.
Yeah.
But if you had one piece of advice for a small business startup or entrepreneur, what would that be?
Yeah, there's a lot that come to mind, but the one that probably stands out in my mind the most is the same piece of advice that a fella in your neck of the woods, Brett Wilson, who's been quite successful in his life and probably understands a lot about sports as well. Him and I met 6 years ago, and one of his pieces of advice when I was just getting going was, do not underestimate the importance of a solid marketing plan. So you might have designed this great product and it solves a huge problem out in the world. But if nobody knows about it and you can't get the word out, then you're going to have a very tough time succeeding.
Great answer. I mean, I've met Brett and attended functions with him many times, and he has good advice. He is successful, obviously, with the Nashville Predators, as being co-owner there. He gets sports. He loves sports. He's passionate. He gives back his political opinions. He puts them out there, good or bad, whatever you want to think of that. But no, I thank you for sharing that advice. And Neil, I think it's great advice, because how you share your story differentiates yourself from anybody else out there. And you have to be in control of your narrative. You can't let other people control it. And it is an important part of moving your company forward. Absolutely. No, I really do appreciate Neil taking half an hour out of your busy schedule to share your story, to share your knowledge. Our call that we had a few months ago, I was inspired by it. I love the fact that giving kids and athletes of all levels feedback is so important, even at the highest levels. When we would be sending kids home from the dub, like they were like, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to get to here? I want to be here. And again, it's good to hear that you're going into the business world, because that's no difference. How am I going to get to here? Especially as we're going to be becoming maybe a more remote work, some type of a hybrid. People are going to have to understand, and especially as leaders, they're not going to know how to inspire people. How are they going to do this? It's such a different world moving forward. So this could be such a great thing for us moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, thank you to Joanne and her team at Sexy AF Spirits. They are, a Calgary-based company, unbelievable product. Reach out to them. Their sexyafspirits.com is in the comment section as well. Click on it. They ship anywhere in North America. And again, Neil, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Great to be here.
All right, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.